Should I take this off since it's not Halloween anymore?
I don't know. It's a Halloween show. Every day's Halloween, Rachel.
Boop, bop, boop, bop, bop. Okay. Okay, so just a warning. This video will be full of spoilers. Today I am talking about The Strangers, Pray at Night, which is a sequel to The Strangers, which came out in 2008. This is a 10 years later thing. Not that that matters at all. So I really liked the first Strangers. I know that a lot of people are sort of either love it or hate it with it. I happen to really love the first Strangers movie. I revisit it a lot, have watched it a lot. It's not perfect, but I think that it's unique. It didn't need a sequel. And I feel like the filmmakers of Pray at Night knew that it didn't need a sequel and didn't try to make a sequel. They just tried to make a movie with the same killers. The director of this one, of Pray at Night, is different than the first one. I believe the only notable things that I know of that this director has done is like 47 Meters Down, that Mandy Moore shark movie. It really is not a good movie, but it is very anxiety inducing. I can't even say that it's not that good of a movie because I didn't get bored. It's not good though, but it's like, it's really makes you like, eh. So he did 47 Meters Down, and apparently is making another one. You know, honestly, I expected the really bad movie going into this. I mean, it wasn't in theaters for very long. The critics panned it, fans panned it. Honestly, I only know of like a handful of people that enjoyed the film, and so that's why it took me so long to even watch it, because I just didn't care, because I thought it was just going to be bad. So I was really pleasantly surprised. Maybe going into it with such low expectations probably helped me to enjoy it as much as I did. Maybe because they wanted it to be so much like the first one, I don't know. But I think if you are just able to sort of make that separation, that this isn't the same movie and that they're not even trying to make it like the same movie, it is really enjoyable. It is really kind of cool and stylized in a totally different way. You get to know the characters about as much as you get to know them in the first one. You don't know too much about the characters in the first one though, but the second one is even less about characters. It's more of a genre-driven horror movie than a character-driven horror movie like the first one is. The reason why the first one is so off-putting, and people like to use the word disturbing, I think it's because it doesn't feel like a horror movie. It feels like a drama. It's just a couple. Slowly, you start to realize that the woman has said no to a guy who just, proposed to her. And so they haven't broken up, but she just said no when he asked her to marry him. So they're in a really weird place in their relationship, and it's kind of just about that for a little while. He's decorated the place as though they just got engaged, and they haven't, and there's champagne, and there's roses, and, it's just sort of awkward, tension-filled thing that when the crazy stuff starts to happen, when they get that first knock on the door, is Tamara home, it's so uncomfortable and weird already in that space that to add that scary element, it really is off-putting for a lot of people. And a lot of people use the word disturbing because you feel like it could happen to you. This second one doesn't have a whole lot of that. There's a death pretty early on in the movie. It's structured more like a regular on-genre horror movie, slasher movie, than the first Strangers. You don't get as much time with the characters just doing and being regular people and doing regular things. I think the film just nailed the slasher genre really well. Through lack of brutal, gory kills, it seems almost more brutal because of how realistic they seem. So it balanced that, which is like from the first movie, with the structure of a regular horror movie really, really well. So even though there was some silliness, there was some tropiness in this, it was balanced out with the straightforwardness of the kills and the fact that they were happening to a family, which is like kind of sort of odd. You don't get slasher movies about families very often, and I think this was well done, and it kind of made it a little sad, which is very on point for The Strangers. is that you're sad. You feel sad that this happened. Not just scared and like, oh yeah, what a kill. You know, like you feel like sad. And it doesn't do it quite as well as the first one, but it does do it well. Some of the shots in particular were really well done and really eerie. I think they did music really well. They played with music it was cool. That pool scene with Total Eclipse of the Heart, I think, was genius. I just loved it. It was like really close to like Sail Away and Girl with a Dragon Tattoo. It's just such a weird song to pick. Every once in a while you come across the scene in a movie, even if the movie's not great. None of the Demons. Her whole crazy shit dancing in the Bauhaus. I mean, that whole movie is shit, but that scene is amazing. I love scenes like that, and this pool scene was definitely one of those. I loved that it was a fight, that it wasn't just stab you and then fall in the pool and then you see him bleed out. Like, it was a fight, and every time they went underwater, you could hear the muffled Total Eclipse of the Heart, and they'd come out of the water and you could hear it perfectly fine, and for some reason that added a lot of intensity to the scene. There was a wonderful shot where they've been fighting underwater for a while now, and then there's a sudden shot from above the water, and it looks like a totally calm pool. You hear the song, everything looks totally fine, and then the camera slowly pans down under the water and you see them struggling and fighting down there, and it's really cool. It's really cool, and honestly, I can't think of anything to compare it to, which, good job. It's very unique. It's a very unique scene. And then there's that hopeless moment when the man in the mask just leaves him. He doesn't bother to stab some more, doesn't bother to push him down. He just knows, this is all I need to do. I know you're going to die here in the pool, so I'm just going to leave you here. Why doesn't he just finish him off? Because he just knows he doesn't have to. And so as he's laying there trying to stay afloat, every once in a while he'll go under, and you can feel, we all know what that feels like, what that sounds like, to lay in a pool with your ears underwater. And every once in a while you come up and you can hear, and then you can't when you go back under, and you could feel what he was feeling, trying to stay afloat in that pool. I almost wish he died, because he doesn't really do anything for the rest of the movie. There's no reason to keep him alive, but I guess it doesn't matter whether he lived or died. I don't really know. But I really loved that scene. I thought it was beautifully shot. The music was perfect. The colors were perfect. The pool was weirdly lit up. Like, it was just wonderful. When you have a film that's rooted in reality with killers who are human, you can only ask so much of your audience before it feels silly. And to ask that these regular humans just kind of are everywhere at once is a little too much to ask. And that's a problem that the first Strangers has too, is that they just seem to be omnipresent. For me, it was more obvious, this problem that I have, in the second one, because in the first one they weren't killed. They weren't even harmed, I think, in the first one. So in the second, when all of them had harm come to them, when Pinup was killed, my first thought was they dressed his sister up as Pinup, and he just killed his own sister. So when it became obvious that that wasn't what happened, then it's like, oh, okay, so they really are just people and they just died. And so when you do that, you take away their power and you make it even less believable that they just know where you are and are omnipresent. It is a problem in the first movie, but you can kind of accept it in the first movie because they seem very Michael Myers-y in that they just can't be hurt. They can't be slowed down. But in the second one, they don't have that. How did he survive an exploding truck? How did Dollface survive a shotgun blast to the chest? You know, like, these are just things that it doesn't have to be this way. Yes, the shot of a flaming truck coming after her slowly was awesome, and I loved it. But did it make sense? No. Like, how is this guy driving this truck? How does he get out and even walk 2 steps? And then how does he follow her down the street and come after her and then jump? I mean, it's just, with no noise, with no screaming, with no nothing. It just seemed very unrealistic. And they talk, too. There's too much talking in this one. I didn't want them to talk so much. I think the director did a pretty cool job. I mean, it wasn't groundbreaking, but that pool scene and that flaming car and, you know, a few shots here and there, I think he's got a promising career ahead of him. He's done a lot of, it seems like horror is like his genre. And again, 47 Meters Down was very anxiety inducing. I think that he's good at building tension, and I think that he's good at working within a genre and like hitting the points of that genre, like really on the nose. And so I would watch another one of his movies for sure. The franchise, I think, is over. They're all dead. If they were to make another one, that would be crazy. I don't think this franchise can continue from where it's ended. If they want to do like prequels or something, maybe, but if they continue from here, it would have to become supernatural, and that I'm not down with. So I think that the Strangers franchise is over, and I'm okay with that, because honestly, I didn't even need a second one. I like the first one. It's fine by itself. And again, this one is not a sequel. It's just like a reimagining of these killers. I don't really know. But it's not a sequel. I don't think they should make any more. Overall ranking, I'm going to be, you know what? I'll go back and watch this movie. It's fun. And I like watching some of these scenes. So I'm going to give The Strangers Prey at Night a 5 out of 10. If you guys like these videos, hit the like button, subscribe. If there's anything that you want me to review, something that I may not know about, I love watching obscure horror movies, so send your suggestions my way. Is the smiley face from the first one? I never remember seeing a smiley face at any point in the first one, but it like felt like a thing in this one, because I saw it in a couple of places. Like, they had drawn a smiley face in a couple of places, but I don't know where that came from, but it's a thing now. I don't know where. It wasn't.